Locked room or sealed room mysteries are not something you hear about every day. These are cases where all entrances and exits to a room are locked or sealed, and the culprits seem to have vanished or left no evidence behind, making it seem like an impossible crime. These mysteries are fascinating because they often require intricate and creative solutions to unravel. It's also possible that the perpetrator used a clever method to enter and exit without notice, or that the crime was committed by someone from within. These cases are quite rare and are commonly featured in detective fiction. Today, we will share a real-life example of a locked room murder involving a Korean woman in the Philippines. Let's dive into the story. Imagine a building with top-notch security guards armed with shotguns stationed throughout, CCTV cameras, visitor logs, elevator access cards, and parking control. You might think it's a place for dignitaries, celebrities, or very important people. However, this building is situated in Manila, the capital of the Philippines, and it's home to ordinary yet affluent residents. This building is none other than the G Tower, a luxury condominium catering to the middle and upper class. In 2012, a Korean woman in her 30s, with the last name Yu, resided there. Yu had completed her studies in the Philippines and was preparing to return to Korea to start a language school business. However, she never made it back. On the afternoon of June 28th of that year, her life took a mysterious turn. Her death was initially ruled as a suicide, but there were compelling signs that hinted at murder. Her body was discovered by a Filipino business partner who had grown concerned when she failed to show up for a meeting the previous day. However, due to the tight security of the building, he couldn't enter her apartment alone. He had to convince a condo staff member to provide access to Yu's apartment. Strangely, the door to her home was reportedly unlocked. Upon entering, the business partner found Yu's lifeless body on the floor. She was wearing a casual dress and had slippers on. Her arms were raised above her shoulders, and her eyes were wide open, indicating a sudden death. There were no visible wounds on her body, but there were fingernail marks on her neck, suggesting strangulation. An autopsy by a local doctor revealed no evidence of sexual assault. When her body was found, it was said to be partially unclothed, with a blanket covering her from head to toe, raising questions about suicide. Someone had to cover her with the blanket after her death. Other than this mysterious cover-up, there was nothing unusual in the apartment. There were no signs of a break-in, theft, or a struggle, such as displaced objects or overturned furniture. Additionally, a fan and TV were both running in the apartment. There was no evidence of forced entry or burglary, according to a local police officer in charge of the investigation at the time. However, close friends and acquaintances of Yu felt that something was amiss. They described her as an extremely neat and tidy person, noting that she would never leave makeup containers open. On the day her body was found, her vanity, where she kept her makeup, was in disarray. Her friends concluded that she was likely in the middle of applying her makeup and had to abruptly leave it unattended. There was another curious detail. The faucet of the bathroom sink was left running. It appeared as if she might have been getting ready to go out or expecting someone. As her makeup remained out, the bathroom faucet was on, and the fan was running. This made sense to her friends since people often leave the fan on while doing their makeup, particularly in countries with warm climates like the Philippines. Initially, local police suspected that Yu might have been murdered by someone she knew, given the cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation, based on the nail marks on her neck. They believed the suspect could have been a friend or acquaintance because gaining access to the condo was challenging due to its stringent security measures. To allow outsiders in, tenants had to go downstairs to the first floor to fetch a pass for their visitors in the lobby. Residents also had to swipe their key card on an elevator reader that only permitted access to the floor they lived on, similar to some hotels where only guests can access elevators to reach their rooms. Investigators scrutinized elevator CCTV footage to trace Yu's recent movements and check if she had any recent visitors. The footage revealed that she was captured on camera going to work 2 days prior on June 26 and returning home later that day, both times alone. Those were the last instances she was seen alive on CCTV footage, implying that she never left her apartment after returning from work. Police then questioned whether anyone had been staying with you, but they determined that there was no such person, as recent footage consistently showed her alone when coming and going from her home. Furthermore, there were no signs indicating that anyone else lived there or was temporarily residing in the apartment. At this point, investigators were stumped, and the case remained a mystery until a real estate broker, who had previously worked with you, shared a crucial piece of information. The broker revealed that you had requested a second access card for the condo, not because her original card had expired or been lost, but because she needed an additional one. However, only one card was found at the crime scene. The question arose, who possessed the other card? Did you lend it to a friend or acquaintance? It was discovered that the second card had been given to Joseph John Cabrera. Cabrera, a local resident, was not only Yu's ex-boyfriend, but also her business partner. Although their romantic relationship had ended long before her death, Cabrera, known to be quite wealthy, did not return the access card you had given him. This raised suspicions that he could have gained entry to her home at any time, making him the prime suspect in the eyes of detectives. However, certain details, particularly a lack of records, seemed to rule him out. There was no trace of Cabrera at the condo, and access card readers in the building maintained logs of scanned cards. It was determined that only Yu's original access card, issued to her when she first moved in, had been scanned around the time of the incident. Furthermore, no one related to Yu was captured on CCTV cameras before or after her death, including Cabrera. The investigation faced another hurdle as tenants and police struggled to understand how someone could breach the heavily fortified building, evade security personnel on cameras, commit a murder, and escape without detection. It was as if the perpetrator had vanished into thin air like a ghost. There was a question regarding whether the perpetrator could have used the emergency staircase after the crime. However, this is highly unlikely since the door to the staircase could only be accessed from a hallway and not from the other side. Let's pause here and examine G Tower more closely. The condominium did not have a flawless security system, primarily because there were no CCTV cameras in the hallways of each floor. Cameras were only installed in the elevators. This meant that no one, except perhaps the residents on the same floor, knew what had occurred in those hallways, including those on the 16th floor. Could one of Yu's neighbors be involved, given that they were the only ones with access to the 16th floor? A Korean man who lived next door in apartment 1605 informed G Tower security staff on the day Yu's body was discovered, June 28th, that he had heard her scream a bit past midnight the night before. He is even said to have reported the incident to the Korean embassy. However, there were discrepancies between his testimony and the police investigation. Local police concluded that Yu had died sometime between 9:41 and 10:30 a.m. on June 27th, the day before her body was found, based on records showing that she had exchanged text messages with a friend until 9:41 that morning. This contradicted the neighbor's account of hearing her scream more than 12 hours later, by which time it was presumed that she was already dead. This raised doubts about the accuracy of the neighbor's memory and the details he provided when speaking with the embassy, despite his initial confidence and willingness to cooperate with the investigation. If needed, the neighbor told investigators that as he was about to enter his apartment after leaving work, he saw a police line next door and recalled hearing a scream the night before. He provided a detailed account, mentioning that he remembered sitting at his desk after returning home from work and hearing the scream. However, aside from the issue of timing not matching the evidence, there were other inconsistencies. The neighbor was not captured on elevator CCTV cameras at all on June 28th. Moreover, his claim that he saw the police line on his way home from work that day was a lie, as it was later discovered that he hadn't even gone to work on that day. This lie, coupled with the fact that he moved out shortly after Yu's death, raised suspicions. The neighbor shared the same statement he provided to the embassy with the production crew of the Korean mystery show, which covered the case in August 2012, 2 months after the incident. The crew traveled to Manila to investigate the matter further and contacted the neighbor using the phone number obtained from the embassy. He described his relationship with Yu as that of friendly neighbors and asserted that he had no involvement in her death. However, after this call, he vanished, which further fueled suspicions. The local police did not pursue a deeper investigation into the neighbor because of a lack of evidence linking him to the crime. Additionally, they did not interview any of the tenants on the 16th floor due to restrictions imposed by G Tower management. This investigation conducted by local authorities was deemed insufficient, despite it being a murder case and the victim's family and friends expressing their dissatisfaction. It is widely understood that the first 48 hours are crucial in solving homicides. However, the retrieval of elevator CCTV footage reportedly began around 2 months after the incident due to concerns about tenant privacy. Initially, tenants were said to be against sharing the footage. Additionally, the local police failed to unlock Yu's mobile phone and reportedly requested the Korean production crew to take it back with them for unlocking, causing further delays in obtaining evidence. As a result, the police were unable to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, as there were no signs of forced entry or evidence indicating the presence of anyone else in the apartment or the building. More than a decade has passed since Yu's death, and no new leads or suspects have emerged. It is possible that individuals were initially considered but subsequently released. It is also plausible that the police failed to uncover vital information during their investigation. If a thorough inquiry had been conducted at the time, it is conceivable that the actual perpetrator could have been apprehended and faced legal consequences. It is likely that the Philippine authorities have now archived the case. While the Korean government has its embassy in the Philippines and the production crew attempted to make progress in the case, it ultimately falls on local law enforcement to find the responsible person and bring closure to the family. If the Philippine authorities commit to reinvestigating the case, they have the best chance of uncovering the truth. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.